Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. As usual, the first screen is my introductory screen only for those people who are watching this video for the first time. Okay, so we are going to do another session today with continuation of hypothesis testing. Okay, so let me begin with. For the newcomers, my introduction is, my name is Pranav Gandhi. I work as trainer and consultant. Total 22 years of industry experience. These are the various domains which I have worked so far in my 22 years of career, and these are some of the academic certifications which I have, right? And these are all the contact details, right? So you can connect me through LinkedIn profile. This is my email ID. I have my own Facebook page for this data science learning, and this is my contact number. There happens to be also my WhatsApp number. So today this is going to be the episode number 2, and we are going to discuss again the hypothesis testing for data science. And this hypothesis testing, as I said in our previous video, that it is also a part of our statistical analytical learning, right? So as we have covered yesterday while learning the introduction of hypothesis, that we have understood what do you mean by hypothesis. It is nothing but an assumption, and there are some components to it or some parts to it. When the test is to be performed, then we always follow these procedures. Number 1, we understand the business problem. Number 2, we collect the data. Number 3, we write our hypothesis statements, that is H0 and HA, which is null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis, right? The fourth will be, once we write the hypothesis statement, what we do, we give our data to perform the test. To our software or our algorithm, which we are going to learn, okay, through R or Python. Then once this test will be performed, the result will be, we will get the result which will be in the form of p-value. What is it? We have seen yesterday, right? So it is called probability value. Then we compare this p-value with something known as alpha. So as we have seen yesterday, that we always get, okay, when we do our prediction modeling, or we always take our decisions, okay, so there are two types of mistakes which we can make, okay. So one mistake is known as alpha, the other one will be known as beta. Alpha is the quite severe mistake, right? So this alpha error is allowed to be, by industry standard, to be 0.05, right? So when we do this comparison of this p-value which we have got from the test which we have performed, okay, we compare this alpha with this with this p-value with this alpha with 0.05, okay. If our p-value is high, then we say p high, null fly. And if my p-value is low, that is the result of my test, then I say p low, null go, okay. So in this scenario, I accept, or statistically it is called as fail to reject. fail to reject null hypothesis, and here reject null hypothesis. Okay, so these are statistical statements to be made. And once we do this, okay, we go for the respective H naught or HA statements. Okay, we will go with it. Okay, either H naught means it is maintaining the status quo, means don't take any action, whereas HA means take action. So whatever statement I have written in my alternate hypothesis or for my alternate hypothesis as per our business problem, okay, I will go and take that action. This is how hypothesis testings will be performed. So this is just a recap what we have seen already yesterday, right? So today we are going to understand there are two types of hypothesis testings will be performed. One type will be for continuous data, and the other one will be discrete data, which means while performing the test, whatever sample data I am having or I have been given, okay, that sample data I am going to provide to my algorithm, right? So that type of data is what we are discussing over here. So if that underneath data is of continuous type, then we will follow one flowchart, and if it is of discrete type, then we are going to follow this particular flowchart, right? So let us understand them one by one. So if suppose the data given to me is in discrete in nature, okay, then I have three different options depending upon how many number of data sets I am having. If suppose, or how many number of samples I am having, right? If suppose I have been given only sample 1, then I will do one proportion test. If I have been given sample 1 and sample 2, then I will perform two proportion test. And if I have been given more than sample 1 and sample 2, okay, something like S3, S4, S5 and so on. If there are multiple samples, then I do perform chi-square test, right? So either I will have one sample or have two samples or have more than two samples, right? So these are the three different tests which we can perform if my given data is in discrete in nature. But what if my given data, so this particular discrete नेचर वाला प्लॉट जो है या फ्लो चार्ट जो है वो हम अगले वीडियो में देखने वाले हैं, ठीक है? आज हम देखेंगे, टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू सी व्हाट इफ माय डेटा इज कंटिन्यूअस. So if the data given to me to perform this test is continuous in nature, okay, then I have to follow this flowchart, and this flowchart is readily available everywhere on internet also. So you don't have to remember this, right? Just understand this well. See guys, whenever I am taking these classes and all, even if I am taking it in classroom classes or even through online live classes, okay, then also, and even when you are going through the recording, okay, important aspect over here is don't mug up anything, okay, just understand the step, just understand the technique behind it or the reason behind it, okay, and go ahead with it. Eventually you all, when we are going to combine it while doing the project, okay, all these are just part of the entire data science curriculum which I have told, right? So when you start a batch with me, we will dig all these things in a more deeper sense or manner, right? and eventually, of course, when we are solving our assignments or we are doing our projects, okay, definitely a much further discussion will be happening at that time, right? So just focus on the understanding aspect over here. So if our data given, if the data given to us is in continuous in nature, again I may have three different flows depending upon how many number of samples I am having. Either I can have one sample, that is sample 1, or I can have sample 1 and sample 2, or I can have sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, and so on. When I say a sample means, suppose I am doing an analysis of age, and if I have been given a one set of age sample data, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 45 years, 27 years, 33 years, 87 years, okay, something like this. If I have one set only and I want to do the analysis, okay, then I will follow this particular flow chart to do the analysis whatever has been asked by that particular business problem. Similarly, if I am having two samples for ages, okay, here 22, here 33, here 55, here 37, here 87, here 98, here 28, here 18, something like that, and so on. If I am having two different samples of ages, then the business problem will be slightly different, which has to deal with two samples, okay. Then I am going to follow this particular flow chart. And if I am having more than two samples, right, then I will go for this particular flow chart. Now what is this flow chart is talking about? If you see, in every step I am checking first whether the data is normally distributed or not, okay. So this test will be performed by using some code. I am going to show you that as well, okay. So it is called normality test. So I check whether the data is normally distributed or not, right? So here in this case only one set of sample will be tested. Here both the set of samples will be tested and both has to be normally distributed, okay. Then only we can go with this flow. And here if all the samples are normally distributed, then only we can go to this way, right? If the data is not normally distributed, then we will change our direction and perform some other actions. So something like one sample sign test, Mann-Whitney test, Moore's median test. So these tests are called as non-parametric test. These tests are called as non-parametric test. This test will be performed when my sample given to me is not normally distributed. Then I'll go and perform non-parametric test. But if my sample is normally distributed, then I will do some different activities or different tests or check some different parameters depending upon how many samples we are having. So depending upon our flow, basically. If I am having one sample and if it is normally distributed, then I will check whether the standard deviation for that sample is or population for that sample's population is known or not, okay. Standard deviation for that sample's population or standard deviation for population sigma, whether it is known or not. If it is known, you know that we perform Z distribution, we follow Z distribution, so we will perform Z test. If it is not known, then we will perform T test, right? This is in respect to one sample. If we are having two samples and both of them are normally distributed, then we will check whether the external conditions are same or not. Now what is external condition over here? One example. Suppose you have two records, because we are talking about two samples, right? So this is one set of bikes and this is another set of bikes, and we are trying to compare the averages, or suppose there is some business problem to it. So I want to analyze these two samples, right? So suppose this set of samples is talking about, these are the averages: 37, 47, 55, 27, 33, 48 and so on. And this is again an averages: 38, 57, 42, 35, 62, something like that. Excuse me guys, right? So these are two different set of averages given to us as a data. This is one set and this is another set. Now if the averages given to us in both the sets are for the same bikes, suppose these numbers are 10, okay, are given for 10 bikes, okay, so set 1 is only on fuel, the averages has been calculated only with the fuel, and set 2 is, suppose there is a fuel plus, you know, in the two-stroke bikes earlier days we used to put oil, or these are called as additives. These are called as additives. Additives are nothing but they will be added into your fuel just to increase or to improve upon your averages, right? So these two different sets of averages has been collected by experimenting on the same 10 bike. Firstly only with fuel, okay, then all the tanks have been washed, and then fuel plus oil is added, and then again for the same bike the averages has been taken. This is one way of doing it. So here what happened, that for both the sets recordings the bikes are same over here, same 10 bikes have been used. Similarly we can do an exercise for 10 bikes and 10 different bikes. These 10 bikes have been used to collect set 1, which is only for fuel, and these 10 bikes, which are different bikes, have been used to check and collect the averages. So this here also we have got 10 different averages, and here also we have got 10 different averages, but the point over here is these 10 bikes are different and these 10 bikes are different, and this is what we have to check when we are calling or checking whether the external conditions are same or not. Because when the same bike have been used, the external conditions were same, okay, the engines were same on which the fuel and fuel plus oil has been tested, right? Whereas here the different engines have been tested, so total 20 engines have been tested, right? And that is why the external conditions have changed over here in this particular example. I hope the external condition concept is clear. So if the external conditions are same, then we will follow a paired t-test, and if the external conditions are not same, okay, like in the other scenario which I have shown over here, then we have to check, we have to perform the variance test of both the records, okay. We check the variance, we check it whether they are equal or not. Whether they are equal or not equal, in both the cases we perform two sample t-test, okay. One will be for unequal variances, one will be for equal variances, okay. So these are the three tests we do perform when there are two samples given to us. And if the three samples given to us or four samples given to us or more than two samples given to us, then as initially we have discussed, first we will check for the normality. If not normal, we will perform this test, and if it is normal, then directly we do check whether the variances are equal for all the samples or not. So S1, S2, S3, S4, so on. Whatever number of samples will be there, we check whether the variances are equal or not for all the samples. If they are equal, we perform ANOVA test. ANOVA stands for analysis of variance. Analysis of variance. And ANOM stands for analysis of mean. Right? So if the variances are equal, we will go for variance test. If the variances are not equal, we go for checking the means. Right? So these are the different tests we normally perform when it comes to do the hypothesis testing with different samples. Right? So let us take one by one example. Let us check it with one by one example. So I'm not going to use the R code for all the tests. Okay. Some of the tests we are going to just discuss over here. I'm just going to make you map through the earlier chart with a business problem over here so that you will understand. Now look at here. Here the length of 25 samples is been given for a fabric. Okay. And this 25 samples of fabric have been taken at random. So there is a fabric manufacturing company, if you know how fabric is being manufactured. Okay, so they have some bundles rolled up, okay, and they sell it to their retailers, right? So such 25 bundles, okay, 25 bundles of fabric, okay, from the manufacturing unit, the samples have been taken for the length of those 25 bundles at random, okay, and mean and standard deviation from the historic 2-year study is approximately 150 and 4 respectively, which means the X bar is given to us, right? Mean and standard deviation from historic 2 years mean, no, not X bar, historic 2-year study they are saying, right? Which means the mu is given to us, mu is 150, standard deviation is 4 because this is for population, okay, previous data we are talking about. Now they have given us the current sample of 25 bundles, okay, and what we have to test is we have to test if these 25 samples having, that is the current mean, is greater than the historic mean or not, okay. So this is about to be expected by that business owner, okay. So it has given us 25 samples length, okay. So it is he is asking us to test these 25 samples, okay, whether their averages, okay, so the current mean, so this sample mean, whether it is greater than 150 or not. What may be the reason? Probably he want to bring down the machine for the maintenance, or maybe he want to replace the machine, because if you are not cutting the fabric at the expected length and it is cutting it at higher length, that is 155 centimeters, say for example, which means he is losing 5 centimeter in each bundle, okay. So because of these losses or something, or fear of these losses, normally this sort of test will be done, okay. And always when they ask you to do this test, normally the alpha will be given to us, and here in this business problem it is given 0.05. So let us see the data. I will show you the data, how the data look like. So this is my fabric data over here. look at that. Now 25 bundles, that is, the count is 25. Okay, so these are the fabric length given to us, and we simply have to check whether the average of these lengths, okay, whether statistically it is greater than 150 or not. So one may say that we can simply take an average of these and it is 155.06, so why to do this test? No, but this is not a statistical answer. Basically it is a simple average, right? So we have to find out the statistical test, we have to perform the statistical test. Okay, so in such case what happened, simply we go to this R, okay, read the file. So let me call the data set, or let me say by using read.csv, I am reading it. And by doing this, you can see I am taking this fabric data, so there are 25 observations. These are the 25 observations given to us. These are the 25 observations length given to us, right? You can see here same entries, and for this I will require a Nortest package, okay, which is already installed in my machine. So I am simply invoking this package by using library function, and I'm going to perform the Anderson-Darling test. Okay, so this is a normality test which I can perform to check the normality of the data. For that I am just passing fabric $fabric length, because fabric length is my column over here, right? So I am passing fabric $fabric length to ad.test, and it is giving me the respective p-value. As I said, we simply have to check the probability value over here, and we have to compare this value with 0.05 alpha, okay, because it is also given over here. Assume alpha to be 0.05, so 0.20 is our answer. So if this thing is greater than 0.05, so I write here over here null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis, or let me use my regular statement file, and in this you can see over here okay, the business problem is maybe I want to do a maintenance for the machine or not, or whether to buy a new machine or not. That may be the business problem. Okay, so there are 25 bundles of fabric length. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll write my hypothesis statement over here, and my hypothesis will be I will not purchase a new machine if the average fabric length is less than or equal to 150 meters. I will purchase a new machine if my average length is greater than 150 meters, because it has asked me to check whether it is greater than the historic mean or not. Okay, so greater than is going to be my alternate hypothesis, right? So I'm going to perform that test, and if the p-value for this test is greater than, we have checked it, it is greater than 0.05, so that is why my p is high over here and null is flying. Okay, so that's why I am failed to reject null hypothesis, and which means that my data is normal. So when I perform the normality test, through R, what I have found, my data is normally distributed. So now if we go to the further test or further flow chart, so one sample is our business problem. We have checked whether the data is normal or not, so data is normal, so we have to see whether the population standard deviation is known or not, right? So in our business problem, sigma is known to us, population standard deviation is given to us over here, standard deviation to be considered as 4, right, which means the standard deviation is known. So if the standard deviation is known, I'm going to perform one sample z-test. So if I want to perform one sample z-test, okay, the library I'm going to use is BSDA, that is Basic Statistics Data Analysis. Okay, so I'm going to invoke that library, and from z-test, that is z.test, okay, I'm using this, by using this code, I'm simply saying fabric dollar fabric length, which means I'm passing the data, okay, to perform the z-test, and I'm saying alternative equal to two-sided over here. Okay, so always, even if I want to check it for the greater alternative, okay, I shall start it with two-sided and then go for less than or greater than test, right? So when I say alternative equal to two-sided, my average is 150 for the historic mean, and my standard deviation, that is sigma, is 4 given over here. So I'm performing the z-test over here with 95% confidence interval, that is my alpha has to be assumed as 0.05, and if you see over here, this is the p-value I have got. So what is the interpretation of this p-value? It is e to the power minus 10, which means there are 9 zeros, then 2, then 4 and 5. So 0.9 times 0, 245, which is far lesser value than 0.05, right? Which means that this is definitely P high, P low, null, go, right? So in our second statement, what we have done over here is, in the equality test, okay, or non-equality test, okay, my null hypothesis will be, do not purchase if the average fabric length is greater than equal to 150, and purchase if it is not equal to 150. But if it is not equal to 150 means we have to then go and check whether it is less than or greater than, right? So if it is less than 150, probably I'm not interested to, you know, do any maintenance. It is good for me basically, but we cannot say it is good or bad. But the business problem is asking us to do or check the greater than, right? And that is why now we are going to see whether it is greater than 150 or not. So for that, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to perform the z-test again, where I'm going to say the alternative is greater, okay, and rest of the parameters will be same. Mu is 150, sigma is 4, confidence level is 0.95, and so here I go, I got the p-value 1.226 e to the power minus 10, okay. So 1.226 e to the power minus 10 is the p-value we have got, okay, which means we have got 0.00000000, something like that, okay, minus 10, and then 1.2 something, okay, which is definitely far lesser than 0.05. So if it is less than 0.05, we say P low, null, go, and that is why we go with alternate hypothesis, right? And that's what is written over here. That is what is written over here. So because my p-value is very low, so we will have to go with an alternate hypothesis, which means that the average of the fabric length given in the sample is greater than 150, and that is why I have to purchase a new machine. That is going to be my conclusion, right? So this is how we perform the hypothesis testing, and this is just one example, that is one sample z-test. Similarly, we can perform one sample t-test. Here also, if you see, we have been given the mean diameter of the bolt manufactured, okay, it should be 10 mm, okay. The business problem is, जो भी हम लोग बोल्ट बना रहे हैं उसका जो एवरेज डायमीटर होना चाहिए, that has to be 10 millimeter to be able to fit into the nut. So 20 samples are taken at random from the production line by the quality inspector, and we have been asked to conduct the test to check with 95%. Again, the alpha is 0.05. Okay, that the mean is not different. So here they are asking check only with not different, okay, from the specific value, right? So which means that what we are trying to what they are asking us to do is, my null hypothesis will be mean should be equal to 10 and alternate hypothesis not equal to 10. So if it is this, okay, then they have to perform some action, because naturally a nut and bolt has to be exactly fittable. Okay, so if it is little bit here and there, you cannot, even if it is greater than 10 mm or less than 10 mm, okay, in both the scenarios the bolt is not going to fit into the nut, is not going to fit into the bolt, right? So this is a business problem given to us. So let us call our data in. So this is a bolt diameter, right? Let me get my this thing and this thing. Alright, so we have taken the bolt diameter data over here. This is how it look like. And how many samples are there? 20 entries, 20 samples are given to us. So we simply have been asked to check. Again we have to perform the normality test as per our this thing flow chart, because there are one sample, again normality test, then standard deviation is known or not. So in this problem, if we see, then the standard deviation is not known, okay, only the what you can say, the threshold mean has been given, that is the population mean has been given, right, 10 mm. Alright, so let us perform the normality test, whether the data is normally distributed or not. If the p-value is high, p high, null fly, so data is normal. Now I am going to perform the t-test. Okay, so mu is 10 over here, and my alternative will be two-sided. Okay, confidence interval will be 95%, means 0.05% is allowed as a mistake. Okay, that is my alpha. Okay, so I am performing a t-test over here. Earlier we have performed the z-test, here it is t-dot test, and simply check the p-value. What is the p-value? 0.96, which is very high, then 0.05. so p high, null fly, which means what is going to be my null hypothesis over here in this case, right? So in this case my null hypothesis will be the diameter has to be equal to 10 mm, then I'm not going to take any action, and if it is not equal to 10, then I'm going to take the action. But if my p value is 0.96, means my p is high over here, right? So if my p is high, my null flies. My null flies means p high null fly, sample diameter is equal to 10 mm. So what is the conclusion going to be? So sample mean is not different from a specification value. Okay, so whatever action we have to perform, we don't have to perform over here, something like buying a new machine or not, right? So this is a one sample t-test for you. There is one sample sign test, so we are not going to get into this now. The score of 20 students, etc., etc., is given to us, and look at that, the current median is asked, okay, and the historic median is given over here. So there is no average here, it is median has been considered, okay. And if you check this data, so I am not going to get a deep dive into it, but I am simply going to show you that how normality test will give us different results, so that we have to change our path, right? So where is that? Yeah, so student score. So I'm reading this. Scientist. Okay, so there are student score given to us. Okay, so 20 entries are there, and we have been asked to perform a test. Okay, the score of 20 students for the statistics exam are provided. Test if the current median is not equal to the historic median of 82. So historic median means population median has been given, which is 82. Alpha is given 0.05, right? So we have to test whether it is not equal to historic mean, right? So the first step is always to check whether the data is normally distributed or not. So ad.test, I am passing student score over here, and the p-value is 0.01. P low, null go, which means data is not normal, right? Which means data is not normally distributed. And then if I want to check it further by using the sign test, pass the student score, pass the median, and take the alternative test, give the alternatives, that is two-sided, and confidence interval, the confidence level, and it's going to give me the probability value. And here P is high. P high, null flies. So what is going to be my null hypothesis over here? Median is not equal, and alternative will be median is equal. Okay, so P high, null fly, which means the current median is equal to historic median, right? So this is how we perform some test over here. Okay, now one more test we are going to take, that is two sample test, and then we will enter into the very important test. So these two tests actually are very popular from industry standards, because this topic, hypothesis testing, if you go on to check all the tests, okay, that video will be very long. So I am still going to make another video for discrete data. Okay, so in continuous data I must limit the examples. So let us take this example now, and this example we are going to see in detail. Okay, so if I want to perform a two sample test, and this is the problem statement given to us, just go through the problem statement carefully, right? So this particular test we are going to perform in detail. So there is a financial analyst at a financial institute who wants to evaluate a recent credit card promotion. After the promotion, 450, actually there are not 450, these are 500. 500 cardholders were randomly selected. Half received an ad promoting a full waiver of interest. Okay, so that full waiver of interest I am calling it as FIW, full waiver of interest. Interest rate, okay, on purchases made over the next 3 months, and half received a standard Christmas advertisement, to which I call it as SCO. Okay, so did the ad promoting full interest waiver, interest rate waiver, that is FIW, have increases the purchases? This is the business problem given to us. Now what happened over here, there are two samples given to us. One is for FIW, one is for SCO. Okay, and there are some purchase figures over here, right? And they want to check whether this set of people who have been given the FIW facility have been able to increase, so these purchases should be greater than these purchases. If it is, then they want to launch it for all the people. That is for the people even who have been offered with this one, right? So when they are calling it as a standard Christmas offer, which means that it is happening every year, right? But this time they have tried something different with full interest rate waiver, right? So two different sets of data are given to us, and that is why we are going to perform two sample t-test over here. So let us understand the flow chart. Okay, so there are two samples given, so we have to check whether both the samples are normally distributed or not. So two normality tests we are going to perform, and then if the data is not normally distributed, we will follow this step. If it is normally distributed, we will go ahead and perform this. We will check whether the external conditions are same or not. Now in this case, because FIW वाले जो लोग हैं, these set of people are different and SEO people are different, which means the external conditions are different over here, and because the external conditions are different, we are going to check whether their variances are equal or not. If they are having equal variances, we will perform two sample t-test for equal variances. If the variances are not equal, we will perform two sample t-test for unequal variances, right? So let us write our hypothesis, and this case study I am going to do it in a complete way. And from there, after this case study, we will stop, and I will take one more episode to just discuss on ANOVA, right? So this is a two sample t-test which we are going to perform. Okay, so here I want to find out, my business problem is, did FIW, that is full interest rate waiver, okay, have increases the purchases or not. So I have collected the data. This is how we write, the documentation to be done in this way. Okay, so Y1 is spend of FIW and Y2 is spend of SCO, that is standard Christmas offer and full interest rate waiver. So there are two samples, okay, and first of all we are going to perform the normality test as per our flow chart, right? So we have to check whether Y1 and Y2 are normal or not, and the alternate hypothesis will be Y1 or Y2 are not normal, right? So they both has to be normal. So first of all we are going to perform the normality test, right? So let us perform the normality test for two sample t-test. So here it is. So let me import the data set. Right, so this is the data set. So there are 250 entries for interest rate waiver and 250 entries for standard promotion, and these are the four total columns given to us, but other columns are not important for us right now. Okay, we are interested in these values. So once you see the data, first of all what we have to do is, I am attaching this data, and this is just an additional step. Okay, and there is one more test, Shapiro test, which gives us the normality test. So it is not only Anderson and Darling, there is another test called Shapiro test which we can perform on interest rate waiver first and standard promotion as well. So let us perform. So we got this p value which is high, and on standard promotion, yes, this p value is also high. So both the case, the p value is high. Okay, so both data are assumed to be normal as the p value for both is high. P high, null fly. What is null? Y and Y2 are normal, right? Alright, now let us check the next step. If the Y and Y2 are normal, then we have to check the external conditions. External conditions are what? Different over here. FIW wale log alag hai, the set of people are different, and SEO set of people are different. So we have to check the variances for the data, both the data sets, right? So to check the variance, there is a var.test available. Okay, so var.test, to which I am passing both the data and just checking the probability value. And what is the p-value over here? 0.65, right? Which means again p high, null fly, right? So this is a variance test hypothesis statement I have written over here. First, null hypothesis will be variances are equal. Alternate will be variances are not equal. So if variance of y1 is equal to variance of y2 and variance of y1 not equal to variance of y2, right? In both the cases I have to take two different actions, right? So variances are assumed to be equal over here because p-value is high over here, 0.653. You see here p-value is 0.653, and because of this p-value which is greater than 0.05, okay, we are p high null fly means variances are equal, right? So if the variances are equal, then what is the next thing we have to do? We have to perform the two sample t-test for equal variances, and this is the final test we are going to perform, right? So we are going to perform the two sample t-test, which is also performed by using t-test again, okay? Two times I am going to perform it. First of all, I am going to give the alternative as two-sided, and second time we are going to give it as greater than, okay? Why? Because it is always we have to check whether it is the first the equality or non-equality, and then we can go for the greater than, right? So interest rate waiver, standard promotion, interest rate waiver, standard promotion, alternative is two-sided and greater than. Confidence level is 0.95, right? And here also confidence level has to be 0.95. Okay, and we are doing it for equal variances, right? So that is why this is at the final test I am writing it. So let us first check what is the p-value for this one. It is p low null go. What is the null hypothesis over here, right? In case 1, where I am checking whether the FIW purchases are equal to SCO purchases or not, right? So p low null go means I am rejecting the null hypothesis, I am going with alternate hypothesis, which means FIW purchases are not equal to standard Christmas offer purchases. So if they are not equal to, which means they have to be either less than or greater than, right? So I am writing again, so do not launch FIW if the average of FIW is less than standard Christmas offer, and launch FIW if the average of FIW is greater than standard Christmas offer. Okay, this is going to be my final test. So I'm going to perform this test and I'm going to check the p-value. So look at the p-value, 0.01. P is so low. So if my p is low, so p low null goes, which means I'm accepting this alternate hypothesis, right? And what is my alternate hypothesis says? Launch FIW because my average of FIW is greater than my average of standard Christmas offer, right? So FIW has increases the purchases. So if I see the business statement over here, okay, did the ad promoting full interest rate waiver increases the purchases? Yes. The ad promoting the full interest rate waiver, okay, have increased the purchase. So the conclusion is we shall go ahead and launch the full interest rate waiver program for each and every individual who is holding the card, right? So we have seen today, in brief, we have seen one sample T, one sample Z, and one sample sign test. Just an examples I am given, and quickly I run through it, okay? But this particular test we have done it in a full-fledged manner, okay? So what we will do is we will stop over here for today's session, okay? And in the next session we will see, or we will discuss what is paired t-test and when it is used, and then we will use one example of ANOM, analysis of variance, right? So these two things we will do in the next session, and then after that we will see what if my data is discrete, right? So this is sort of little difficult when it comes to understanding, because we have to take a business case, then we have to write the hypothesis statement in Word file, then we are performing the test in R, and then coming back and checking, etc., etc. So that is why in the navigation probably you will find it difficult to understand. If you find it so difficult, you can please message me. I will create another video for this, right? So that's it for the day. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button, and of course do not forget to subscribe the channel, because if you subscribe the channel you will get all the notifications. Of course you have to hit the bell icon as well, so you will get all the notifications for the all new upcoming videos I'm going to publish, which will be the learning videos. And obviously if you have not yet connected with me through LinkedIn and my Facebook page, the details for that also will be provided in the description of this video. And of course I have created one WhatsApp button as well on the Facebook page, so that you can directly communicate with me on my contact number, right? Alright friends, then thank you very much for joining and watching this video. Take care, bye bye, see you.